Unlike the real world, though, there was no pain involved. Fex did a few simple tests first, moving his body around. It felt unnatural to Quinn as he wanted to fight it, and he had the strength to resist it a little. Unlike Erin, who was limited by her regular human strength, it was easy for Fex to force her to do what he wanted. "Calm down, will you?" Fex complained. "For this to work, you need to be in a sleep-like state. That way I can use your body how I like. You just need to pay attention with your mind." Quinn closed his eyes and tried relaxing his body. It took a while for him to allow his whole body to go limp, as he was afraid he would fall over if he did, but suddenly when he did, he felt a jolt in his legs. He didn't fall over, but instead, Fex had taken control of his legs. After getting past the weird feeling, the rest was now easy for Fex. He went ahead and did the same set of punches he did every day while he was training at school. Of course, there was a lot more to martial arts than just learning how to do the moves. It was important to know when to use them, what moves countered what, and so on. But at least it would allow Quinn to progress quicker. Quinn concentrated hard as Fex demonstrated the moves using his body. As his arms flew out from different angles, they were fast and stiff. At the same time, his body was always in a position where he could see an oncoming attack, while being able to block using his shoulder. After the set of punches was demonstrated to Quinn, Fex disconnected the strings and allowed him to practice them. Quinn was feeling fresh, so he didn't want to waste any time and started performing them. Quinn tried to combine the feelings of the punches, together with his muscle memory from being controlled by Fex, and it seemed to be working out well for him. Fex watched Quinn carefully as each move was performed nearly perfectly to how they were shown. "Looks like we have a fast learner," Fex said. Although the string method was able to help someone progress faster, it couldn't help them completely. In the end, it was down to the person. With Erin, she too had tried performing the moves nearly instantly, but not once was she successful. But here, it seemed like something had connected Quinn. "Quinn, am I just making my enemy stronger, or am I making a powerful friend in the future?" Fex thought. As Quinn didn't want to let go of this feeling, he continued to practice the punches Fex had taught him. He was slowly perfecting them. Then, all of a sudden, he heard a ding from the system. "Basic Vampire Martial Arts Unlocked Level 1. New tutorial videos available." The usual sound appeared, which indicated that Quinn was able to unlock something from the system. As he practiced the moves, he felt something strange happen. It was as if his body was still being guided by the strings, but it wasn't. The memory was so fresh in his head that his body was moving on its own, and after the last movement, the message had appeared. "Basic arts?" Quinn read. "Does this mean there are stronger vampire martial arts out there? Maybe Fex only taught me the basics on purpose, or maybe he only knows the basics." The second message was what interested Quinn more. The last time he had watched the tutorial videos, they helped him out greatly, teaching him the flash step and the hammer strike. The second tutorial video taught him how to combine moves. This time, the tutorial was unlocked when Quinn had learned the vampire martial arts, so perhaps there was a tutorial skill related to it. He quickly glanced over at Fex and chose not to watch the videos right now. Quinn was playing the complete beginner act when it came to vampire arts. If he was to demonstrate a skill that hadn't been taught, then it would only raise suspicion. "I think I got the basics down," Quinn said. "Is there anything else besides this?" Fex looked at Quinn again, still mesmerized by how quickly he had learned the fighting style. This was something he did day in and out as a child, and amongst others, and even then he was considered a genius. But if he was a genius, then what did that make Quinn, who had learned it in a few hours? Fex thought maybe Quinn already knew the arts and was lying for some reason, but thinking back to their first fight, it seemed impossible. He would have to be a first-class actor to fake punches that bad, and then do the same again while fighting against the teacher Leo. "Yes," Fex replied, "these are only the basics. I can perform at a level above what I showed you, obviously, but I honestly wouldn't be good enough to teach them to you. If you want to learn some more, you're better off getting a real teacher to show you." Part of what Fex had just said was a lie. It was true he most likely couldn't teach Quinn. He tried that once before, and his explanations weren't the best. Still, whatever Fex could do with his own body, he could do using someone like a puppet. Even slightly better. There was a small fear inside Fex that if he kept teaching Quinn, he had to teach him the advanced vampire martial arts. Looking at Quinn's learning capability, he might defeat Fex easily, and Fex didn't know how to react to that. While the two of them were busy practicing inside the private server, they were unaware of what was happening elsewhere in the game. Zombie Pete winner. So, is it another hacker? This game has been going downhill these days. Someone watching the match had said, but that's his 50th win in a row. Surely the admins would have found out about him by now. I think he has a really good regenerative ability, no? I mean, it's in his name. Well, then how do you explain the extra strength or the crazy speed he has? Doesn't look like he's wearing any beast gear to me. A few people in the crowd were currently watching a particular student play the VR game. Each of them had lost the matches, but found the fights a little strange, so they opted to watch the next few games. But as they watched each game, the same strange thing continued to happen. New match has been found. A new game had started, and once again, the student they had their eye on was going up against a level 3 telekinesis user. The telekinesis user had several black balls attached around his chest, while his opponent had no weapons at all. Standing on the opposite side was Peter. He didn't look like his usual self, as he was slightly disguised by the avatar. Although he selected a pretty basic default design that had a randomly generated face with a few scraps of clothing. The fight had begun. Peter rushed forward. At the same time, the telekinesis user threw out the metallic balls using his ability to speed them up. Peter, however, was fast and was able to dodge most of the incoming attacks, and the few that he couldn't, he knocked away with his hand. However, the opponent was strong, and there were too many metallic balls floating in the air for Peter to dodge. When it came to fighting, Peter wasn't exactly the most skillful person. Eventually, one of the metallic balls came at great speed and managed to hit Peter in the center of his shin, smashing and breaking it in half, causing him to fall to the ground. The others could feel the pain just from watching Peter. Although the game only replicated a small amount of pain back to the user, they could imagine it must have hurt a lot. The telekinesis user calmly walked over to Peter, thinking it was all over. He had taken out one of his opponent's legs, and no movement would mean the end. However, the others watching from the stand knew it wasn't the end for Peter. They had all thought the same thing while fighting against Peter. Suddenly, after a few moments, Peter was able to stand up again, as if the attack had never hit his leg in the first place. He immediately ran towards his opponent. He was caught off guard, and in a panic, tried to fire all the metallic balls right at Peter. But his speed was impressive. Peter dodged the balls, and even though they were now chasing him, he was faster than the balls. Eventually, when he was close enough, Peter pounced on top of his opponent and widely swung his fists towards his head. There was no class and no style with Peter's attacks. It was like one of a wild animal. Winner, Zombie P.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.